Are we now getting to the point where technology is catching up to our ideas? Let's discuss. Welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, and my co-host Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person, content creator, and marketer wants to hear. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so we can only focus on one subject. And today, I want to talk about a subject that I've had this saying or statement for years now. And maybe this is the first time in my lifetime that I'm getting to the point where it might be true. And that is our ideas, or is technology catching up to our ideas? Because we can have an idea, and for years I've had many ideas where I've thought of stuff, and I'm sure you have as well, Chris, and people listening here at home or wherever you're listening to, where it's a great idea, but it couldn't be executed. Or if it could, you would need a substantial amount of resources. Now, it's possible with the right prompt and a good imagination and the right tool. So what do you think, Chris? Are we at that point now, or do you think we're still a way away?
I think we're on the cusp, actually. Yep. I heard recently on a podcast, Eric Schmidt, who is the former CEO of Google, say that we're in the text to action space. And I really like that expression because yeah, we've been text to text, text to image, but these are all single outputs that, you need to go and do something with. Whereas agents are the things that we were always promised, things that will be able to do multi-step actions like complete a blog post or post a blog post or rewrite a blog post and then post it and do multi things in the chain. And all of a sudden, we're getting large language models with this sort of capability. So, we talked in the green room about things are much more viable now, like running a podcast, running a business, being a freelancer, going and doing your own thing. Like, it seemed that before many people were daunted, and rightly so, by all of the hats you have to wear, all of the responsibility you need to take, all of the other things you need to learn. And AI is going to definitely alleviate some of that pain for people in that it will be able to take those places for you or do those tasks for you. Yeah,
because there's been so many ideas I've had over the years that it's just an idea. Now we can make it happen. So, for example, I wanted to do a podcast for a long time, from when I was working at the BBC. So I left BBC in 2006, because that's when podcasts, its kind of first iteration started coming about. So I've been wanting to do a podcast since then. And it's only since last year I've actually done one, which is obviously this one, because the technology was now available. It was certain technology was available then. Yes, I could record. Yes, I could edit using, at the time, a program called Cool Edit, which is now Adobe Audition. Yes, we had microphones. Yes, you had video cameras, but you didn't have video cameras on your phone. You didn't have what we're using right now, which is called Riverside to record. So I'm in Spain, Chris is in England, and we're recording in one place. You didn't have microphones as cheap, to get good quality sound for as little as it cost. It didn't once the whole thing's been edited, put into a platform. Sorry, once the whole thing's been recorded, put into a platform for it to be edited, whether it be from a video point of view, cut into multiple parts, or from an audio point of view, getting rid of certain, let's say, background noises, or changing the sound, or getting rid of the ums and the ahs if you decide to do that. And also transcribing. So all of a sudden, certain things that the idea I had before, which, it could be done at a stretch, now technology is making the idea possible.
It's making less and less excuses, right? Like, you've got no more reasons to not do things. And that's actually pretty amazing. When you were just saying that, I just thought, I'm not going to overcomplicate things because this is obviously a non-techies podcast, but I use a DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation, and I use Logic Pro. I'm a music tech background, and over the years, I've collected software which are what's called emulators. So imagine that a giant great synthesizer, like a Moog synthesizer that would cost thousands, like you're talking $50,000 for the hardware version of the synthesizer. I have a software that's free that sounds exactly like it, right? And probably if you took all of my digital tools and made them into real physical things in a studio, it would cost about $5 million. Now, before then, you had to be in the top 1% of musicians in the world to get access to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Now someone in their bedroom can go and mess around with the same tools, you know, like Abbey Road Studios, where the Beatles recorded. I have the Abbey Road synth pack, which means I know that actually they did, and this is genius. They recorded the piano that John Lennon played on in Abbey Road Studios into a software that you can then use. So you don't actually need to be in Abbey Road. You don't need to use that piano, but you can make sounds like it because they recorded every possible sound that piano can make, made it into a software, and then sold it to millions of people. Yeah. So this is the sort of thing that AI is doing. It's doing things that weren't possible before unless you had top 1% of access or budget or one of these things, or you got a Harvard degree, or, you know, you were basically in very small pockets of society. Now it's making massive pockets of society have access to that same stuff. But that comes at a cost. Yeah. Because once you're not in the 1% that's using it, you are competing with millions of other people that also got the same access that you did when you did.
Yeah. And that's the flip side to it. You know, you look at, again, using music as the example. Before, I would love to have been able to make a song that I like using these lyrics, but I can't sing, I can't rap, I can't play guitar, I can't produce. Now I can just use a large language model, essentially writing lyrics and get them to optimize it, and then use a tool like Suno or Udio, and then I've got my song. Or if I wanted to, without lyrics, I wanted some like I be for lounge house music, I can just literally type that in and get a song that I would.
Well, you can just hum it.
Like.
You don't even need to
just hum it. Yeah, and then it can create that. And I used to sell a lot of stuff online, so I used to do a lot of e-commerce, like to get like a Shopify store, to get the products, to get the product descriptions. All of that would take time. Now it's just a few prompts away. So our ideas is there, but going back to what you just said. If it's okay that I can do it now, it means it's okay that anyone can do it right now.
Yeah.
Before, there was a level of skill or money or time that would be a factor. I want to do this, but I don't have the skill. I want to do this, but I don't have the type of money. I would
add to that patience and willingness.
Patience and willingness are two other very important things.
I'll give you a very specific example. Like, I know so many people that would have loved to have opened an online store, but the daunting task of making a website, maintaining a website, all they want to do is do handcrafted goods. You know, they don't ever, but they know that's their way to sell. You know, otherwise it's traditional advertising and local stuff only, and that's not going to make it a profitable business. So the idea of the internet giving them access to free customers is also the thing that puts them off from doing that as a business, because they just want to craft stuff, you know, like, so having the willingness and patience to learn something that you're not very good at in order to enable you to do the thing that you want to do is what AI can do. Like, for example, like, imagine that you just uploaded a photo to ChatGPT and said, here's the wooden toy I just crafted. Give it an optimized product description. Give it a price. List it on my website. That's the sort of task that an agent would do. Yeah. You know, right now we've got LLMs that can do all three things individually, but then you've got to go do something with it. You've got to go list it on your website in a way in which the website will translate it. An agent will be able to take number one to step number 2, step number 3, step number 4, and all you need to do is make sure step number 4 was done.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Is it okay? Yeah, your approval. You become more of a project manager, I guess, than anything else. And that's where we are right now in the world that we live in.
Yeah.
You know. So in a nutshell, has technology caught up to our ideas? I now see it based off of speaking it out like a therapy session, and also your input as well, Chris. It's almost like there's one, two, three, four stages. And stage one is now there. It looks like it's starting to, but we're going to go into even more detail on how it can really help us over the next few years, depending on where this generative AI takes us.